Yo, in today's video, we'll be looking at creepy and strange TikToks that will make you question everything.
One drink that leaches the magnesium and the calcium out of the body, and that is caffeine. Now, there was a bit of a groan last night when I mentioned this one. Most people don't realise that coffee is a huge contributing factor to dehydration, to heart malfunction, and also to imbalance in heartbeats. So there are some things that have to stop if you want to keep the heart with all diligence, and one of them is caffeine, because of the way it leaches the magnesium out of the body. And as you can see by what I just described, magnesium is so important. Anyone that comes to me with high blood pressure, we do quite a few changes, but we always supplement with magnesium because it keeps that heart muscle at rest. You see, your systolic is your high point and your diastolic is your bottom one. It relaxes that diastolic and brings it down a little bit. And the Celtic salt can do that. But how often are people with high blood pressure told to what? No salt. When everyone at work is going out to get their coffee or their cigarette to get a boost, you just get your crystal of Celtic salt, put it on your tongue, have a glass of water, and you watch that little energy boost that you will get. And you won't get the drop like they will all get. They might get initial rise, but then there's always a corresponding drop.
Yo, they came at me out the gate with this one. Listen, I drink coffee like faithfully every morning, and you know what? I think it's an addiction at this point because most of the time I'll be awake, right? I don't even feel like I need the coffee. And then I'll just go ahead and go to my French press and start making me some coffee just because I'm addicted, man. And I think it does dehydrate you a lot. Sometimes if I drink too much coffee, my armpits will start sweating or something like that. And it's like, what the heck is going on here? And she says it depletes you of magnesium. Honestly, I didn't start going bald like that until I started drinking a lot of coffee, a lot of pre-workouts, a lot of Red Bulls, things like that, just to stay awake because I had started working as an adult. Man, I guess I gotta break the coffee, y'all, and get some of that Celtic salt. If anybody knows where I can find some Celtic salt, leave me a comment down below. Them Simpsons, man. This what the world coming to. Man's got pulled over for me. Listen, man, this is gonna be crazy. I talked about this a while ago, right? On either my Facebook or I don't know where I posted it, but I said spatial reality is going to be the future. And this is back when Microsoft had announced their spatial reality things, and we were talking about how you can walk down the street and a person might be selling something, right, virtually, say a ebook or something, right? So if they're selling that ebook, they'll be able to walk down the street and have that ebook right there on their shoulder. If you've got those goggles on, right, those Apple goggles or whatever they're called, Apple Vision, and you're walking down the street and you walk past this person, they're going to have that ebook right there on their shoulder. You click on the ebook, boop, boop, 2 taps. Now you got that ebook downloaded into your library, and they got $9.99 in their bank account. And they didn't even know they made a sale. That's what the world's coming to, y'all. Crazy stuff. Man, for this spatial reality future that we headed to. And you know what's crazy about that? This just came to mind. Back when this episode came out, I forgot what year it was. It was some years ago. Apple filed a patent for their Apple Vision Pro the day the episode came out. Come on, man. Come on, man. These must be in cahoots with each other.
Christopher Walken plays this kind of retired con man who has managed to find a way of living on less than $5 a day, $5 a day. And that's something I think we'd all like to do. But he knows how to get everything for free, how to never have to spend any money.
Going on here?
He knows what time hotels put out courtesy coffee in Danish, so he'll arrive at the hotel at 11 o'clock when they just put out the coffee and grab himself a free coffee.
So this is a film we can learn from.
I think it is. I think it's good in these troubled times, in the times when houses are being repossessed and everyone's pocketbook is tight. I think you could learn a lot from this movie, and also laugh and cry at the same time.
Excellent. So why don't you guys choose this IHOP?
I knew it's the reason I didn't like to eat at IHOP, y'all.
I will never talk to a doctor about my general health ever again. If I break my arm, I'm going to go see a doctor. If I need surgery, I'm going to go see a doctor.
Yes,
my
sir.
general health, never again. None of them know what they're talking about. They're all full of shit. All they know is to put you on pills and put you on medicine. That's all they know. None of these doctors know anything about human biology. Everything they've learned is about medicine. Right? Getting you on medication.
Yeah, man.
Oh, this feels weird. Take this.
Hey, for real, they practice medicine. It's a practice, and they just practicing on us people.
Medication. Oh, that doesn't feel right. Take this medication. Finally, you're on 3-4 different medications that have 10 different side effects and mess you up in 10 different ways. And that's what I was feeling. I'm on no medication now.
You were on medication before?
Yeah, I was on thyroid, I was on cholesterol, and I was on high blood pressure medicine. And now I'm on none of that. And my blood work has never been better. I've never felt better. And, you know, I am not the same person I was a year and a half ago.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
Facts. Stay free, y'all. Stay free.
People are going to know why it failed. Trump and the MAGA Republicans.
Do people not realize he can close the border right now? Blaming Republicans and Trump makes zero sense. They all want to close the border. There does not need to be a bill. He can do it right now. Do people believe this? He's saying to not let petty bipartisan politics get in the way, but in the same breath, he's blaming Republicans and Trump. So he recognizes the border is a problem. The world is watching, and he could do it right now.
Life is vibration. So is...
Welcome back to Uncensored, where I've reassembled some of my pack and brought in some new members to talk through the issues raised by that interview with the footballer Jack Diamond. I want to focus on this exchange. Do you think that it's unfair that only the man who's accused gets named? Do you think it would be right to change the law?
I think both sides should definitely be anonymous.
Until a point of conviction?
Of course, because...
Because if you had been, if the law did that, the papers couldn't have mentioned your name. Nobody would have known it was you. You would have been acquitted and no one would have known anything about it. Well, here to discuss that is my pack, as I said, the YouTuber and commentator Pearl Davis, Associate Editor of The Mirror, Kevin Maguire. Kevin, it's complicated, this issue. I don't pretend it isn't. I've interviewed a few people who've been in this position, but listening to this guy, he's a young man. He was 19 when this first happened. He's met someone on Tinder, which is the way a lot of young people meet other sexual partners these days. But for a year, they're seeing each other. And then, according to him, and he's been cleared, and so I think his version is the credible one, he says they just had a slight disagreement. She was annoyed that he didn't want to have sex with her. She left in a bit of a mood. And the next thing, the police turn up. And his life is completely upended. You're a Sunderland fan, actually.
Yeah, he played for us a couple of dozen times. He out on loan a lot. I think he's at Carlisle now as he tries to rebuild his career.
But what about his argument that why should she, who it turned out made false allegations, very serious ones, why should she remain anonymous to the point we can't say who it is, but he has been named immediately that he was charged, splashed all over the papers, splashed all over the television, suspended by his club, lost his job for the interim period until the trial, then gets cleared in 7 minutes by the jury, who clearly are having none of this. Why should he be forever tainted with this?
Piers, in these cases, because a jury finds you not guilty, doesn't mean the person has lied. That's not the automatic side. It's got to be a case beyond all reasonable doubt.
Well, it means they didn't believe her version.
Now, I have huge sympathy for him through what he's gone through, but I don't accept creeping private justice where you don't know. For instance, people are arrested now and you can't report, you can't know they've been arrested.
Yeah, but
and they're being investigated.
His point is unfair.
He's innocent. He's innocent. We've got to accept he's innocent now. He's gone through a terrible time that I get.
Why would a woman not do it again if there's no consequence for her doing it?
But look,
I mean, we're rewarding bad behaviour.
No. If the police and the Crown Prosecution Service believe you've deliberately made up allegations, you will be prosecuted, and there are cases, and then those women are named.
But, Pearl, a jury of 12 people took 7 minutes. I mean, some juries take 7 days. They took 7 minutes to find for this young man, who I have to say, when I interviewed him, I found him extremely... he was very polite, respectful. I believed him. And I felt so sorry for him. He could have been one of my sons. I was like, what? He's been through utter hell, and yet nobody knows anything about who this girl is. I'm not saying for a moment she should be named and shamed.
I think she should.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, some women probably do feel that, actually.
I mean, I think if we keep allowing women to weaponize the justice system against men, why would they stop? Why would they stop? There has to be some consequence for women that ruin men's careers.
Successful prosecutions where rape is reported is incredibly low. There is a huge problem. Now, I'm setting aside the Diamond case for a moment. It is incredibly difficult to prove, and there are very few prosecutions. Now, you can just say all women are just making complaints freely. No, they are not.
Well, in a way, we're having a slightly different debate.
We are.
We'll come to that. On the specifics, Pearl, his argument is, why should he be named until, or if he's convicted? That he wants anonymity for both sides, the accuser and the accused, until there is a verdict.
I think it should either be they're both public or they're both private.
Right.
I agree. I don't think it's fair that you can accuse someone of a crime, you completely ruin their career, and there's no consequence for you.
What the police will
if it
say,
doesn't go through
the police will say that when you get some of these cases, quite a few probably, that the naming of the alleged rapist often leads many other victims to come forward, and we've seen that happen. There's no doubt that can be a key factor in persuading other victims. Suddenly you have a mass serial rapist. So that's the argument from the police as to why they want to name the people who are accused, because they want to encourage potential other victims to come forward.
And I understand the thought process, but I just see nowadays, I mean, nobody believes anyone that comes forward with this kind of thing because so many women abuse the system. So what they're doing now, it's not working. And I'm not sure what exactly the solution is, but I think what he's proposing is more fair than what they have right now.
It does seem the least you can do, frankly. I mean, I've interviewed another young man last year, you know, who'd been despicably framed by a complete fantasist who'd attacked herself and claimed that he had done it and so on. And
she's in jail now.
She's in jail now. She was held accountable.
And we know who she is.
Yeah.
She was pictured.
Yeah.
So she did not have anonymity.
No, and to Pearl's point, she did get named, shamed, and brought accountable.
But I interview men that this happens to all the time in family court. I'm doing a documentary on divorce, and this is really common in family court. It's different than criminal court. But the problem is they changed the definition of rape. It used to be forced sex. Now it's sex without consent. It makes it more broad, and it makes it easier for women to prosecute.
In Diamond, the case that needs to be answered is why the Crown Prosecution Service took the case. If it's dismissed in 7 minutes, because there needs to be, to bring a case, a realistic prospect of a conviction.
Let's bring in Paula Roan, Adrian, a Talk TV contributor and a family lawyer. Paula, I mean, it really did make me feel uncomfortable, this interview, because it's the second one like it I've done in the last few months. And both times you've got young men who were completely fitted up, it seems, both eventually cleared, but will never have their name properly cleared. You know, this poor guy, the first game back he plays, the fans are chanting abuse at him about being a rapist. He's going to get that the rest of his career. Doesn't seem right. Why can't he remain anonymous like all rape accusers remain anonymous until or if he's convicted?
Well, we know why that is, because it's not about why we compare the defendant, to the potential victim, the alleged victim. It's comparing the defendant to other defendants in cases we don't say, for example, to somebody who has been accused of an attempted murder, or somebody who's been accused of abusing a child, or somebody who's been accused of armed robbery, that they should automatically get anonymity. And of course, those are incredibly serious allegations as well. But you're asking me about
hang on.
whether...
When you accuse someone of attempted murder, we know who's doing the accusing. They're not given anonymity. It's only in sexual cases like rape and serious sexual assault that the accusers retain anonymity throughout the whole process. And his argument is, well, why can't that apply to the people being accused? And if they're found guilty, then name and shame them to your heart's content. They should be. But if they're then acquitted, then nobody would ever know that they were accused of something they didn't do.
And Piers, don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't appreciate the sensitivity of this, of course I do. But what you're asking the criminal justice system to do is to essentially pay lip service to what is a distressing situation for everybody. And I understand because...
Well, no, I'm asking, he, to be clear, I'm not asking for anything. He is asking for a fairer system that gives anonymity to both sides until there's a verdict. And I think there's a lot of merit to that. The more of these young men I interview who are on the receiving end of fantasies or people who juries don't believe, who then have to live with a stigma for the rest of their lives, the more I'm leaning to thinking, well, why don't we just have anonymity on both sides? Makes sense.
So this has been considered on a number of occasions. It was considered back in the 1970s. It was